Hello, welcome to Retrotainment. Back here with my co-host, capital C, capital O, Greg. How are you doing, buddy?
What's happening, homie?
Yeah, nothing much, nothing much. We just continue on with our wrapping up with our final Bill Murray film for this month. We said it was going to be a more of an obscure one of his that people may or may not have seen, and I wouldn't be surprised if people haven't seen this one, The Life Aquatic
I,
with Steve Zissou.
I'm going to say that most people have not seen this.
Yeah, it's the most recent one that we've done. Obviously, it's 25th of February 2005 is when it came out. But
Is it that long ago, is it?
yeah, 2005. Yeah, so it's not as old as some of the other ones we've done, but yeah, it's older than you think it is at this point.
Yeah, it's the single straight. Like Bill Murray has some strange movies, Lost in Translation, things like that. Dead Don't Die, which is relatively new. The likes of Caddyshack and things where the way it's done is strange. This is by far and away the single strangest movie you'll ever see Bill Murray in.
Yeah, it's a bit all over the place because this is basically a mockumentary. In
Yeah.
like that's the style it's shot in, but it's not shot in the style of like the way a mockumentary is normally shot. Because normally a mockumentary is shot as if it's a documentary, whereas this is shot as somebody filming somebody filming and them doing a documentary. Like it's a strange one. Splits splits the critics 57% from critics for 224 critics, but then an audience score of 82%, which actually surprises me because it's a really high audience score.
I would have said the critics on this would have had it so low because of the type of movie that it is.
That's what I mean. It seems to have split critics because I would say there's a lot of critics that really put this down, and then there must be some that really loved it.
I'd say a lot of it's put up because of how well it's shot.
Yeah, I think there's certain things that are shot in it that are very good. Like the camera work is very good, and I personally like how they when they're filming them in the boat, but like it's on the underwater part of the boat where it's clearly not shot. Yeah, when someone's just looking at the port, like the windows underneath the sea, and it's clearly not shot. It's just their face superimposed into this really badly animated window on the bottom of a boat, and like all the fish are like really badly animated and stuff. Like they're clearly like they didn't try like. Not that they didn't try, but that's the idea, is that they're like, yeah, no, we won't bother putting a load of technology to try and make it look real. Just make it look cartoony. That's fine.
This is Wes Anderson crossed with a Tim Burton movie, isn't it?
Yeah, like the idea is that it's don't worry, like we're not taking ourselves seriously here. So like this isn't meant to look great.
No, in any way. Like even like a couple of minutes in when you first meet Steve and whatnot, and you see the two crabs mating.
That's a bit later. It's when the kid gives him that fish.
But even then, like I'm just saying, like you can see that it's not done that way.
Oh yeah, like even from the start, when they're like, here's they're like pink fish that swim by him. They're clearly not real fish, like.
Yeah,
and it's as if they superimpose the fish behind him, which is obviously what they did in the film. But then it looks like as he was making the film, he did that as well. Like it's very good. Like, box office wise, it's actually quite poor in the box office, 34.8 million, which is quite poor for considering the cast. Like,
I'm not surprised though. I remember the ads for this coming out.
Yeah,
it looked dreadful.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it looked great, but considering the cast it had, obviously you've got Bill Murray, then you've got William Dafoe, Goldblum. Like you're talking about a really strong cast.
Is it Michael Gambon in the back there as well?
I'm not entirely sure. I didn't look up the entire thing. It was a big cast though. Like I thought that would have drawn some people in, but clearly not.
Yeah, it was terrible. Well, not terrible, but
it's enjoyable. Like I definitely don't think I wouldn't be putting it up in the 80% category now myself. No. I probably would have had it around the 60%.
I wouldn't have even. I would have had it way lower than that.
Really? See, I think it's enjoyable because it doesn't try and take itself seriously. I think the fact that it knows it's a joke is what plays it up for me.
There is that, which is fun. Oh, sorry, you're talking. Yeah, it was the audience score was 80 something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd had it about 50, 60.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, because it's a joke. Like, it plays on the fact that it's a joke, which is what, if they were
I
trying
think
to be
that's what
serious, it'd be something else.
I think that's what might save it a little bit from the critics.
Yeah, it probably does. The fact that they play up to the fact that, yeah, we're not making a serious film. Like, this is meant to be a joke.
Yeah, I like at this stage, Bill Murray was going through that weird phase of just doing random shit.
And that's what it is. It's just like, let's just be quite random here. It's not particularly like funny, comedy funny. It's funny because of the way people act and like the actors themselves being funny rather than the story being funny.
Yeah, like Willem Dafoe as Klaus in this, he steals the show for me.
Him as Klaus or
and Goldblum as Anderson.
Yeah, Goldblum as Hennessy.
Or Hennessy, yeah.
Yeah, Hennessy. The two of that, I think, yeah, but probably Dafoe as Klaus is probably the top dog for me in it. Yeah.
Even actually, not even in that picture, Owen Wilson's in this as well.
Yeah, Owen Wilson. You kind of forget that when you watch it, don't you? Wow. Like, oh. Yeah, it doesn't say wow though, so I don't like that. Wow.
I don't think Owen Wilson says wow in anything.
He said it in one or two things, and that's now his thing. So he should always say it. I like, we get to see the first filming, part one of this documentary he's shooting, but it's being shown as if it's kind of like as at a play, because it's not like a cinema, because it's got all these balconies and stuff. It's weird. They're showing it as a play, and it gets introduced theater, and everything. Yeah, and he shows that, and it's clearly not that well shot. And then he comes back up from underwater, and he's like, "The shark ate Esteban." I love your man on the boat. Is he dead? But a shark ate him. Yeah, he's dead. Well, did it swallow him whole? No, it chewed him up.
Yeah, it spit him out or chewed him in half and then swallowed him alive.
Yeah, it's just what a stupid question. He's come back to the surface, and then they look at his eyes and they're like, "Ooh, he's got the crazy eyes." I don't think that's what really happened. And he's like, "Well, where the hell else is he?"
What was it? At the infamous jaguar shark.
Yeah, that's what it's a jaguar shark. And then they're asking, like, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to hunt it down and kill it. What's the point of that? Revenge? What do you mean? Like, that's why I'm going to do it.
The thing killed my best friend.
Yeah. And then it's kind of a weird one, because everyone clearly thinks he's lost the plot, and he's an esteemed documentary maker, but you get the sense that everyone's like, yeah, you were 20 years ago, mate. You've lost it.
Very, very eccentric, isn't he?
Yeah, and you can tell he's kind of lost it. Like the way everyone treats him, they're like, "Yeah, you're great. Oh no, that was good. Seriously," and he's like, "Yeah, thanks."
Yeah, like it's definitely based on Jacques Cousteau.
It could be, yeah, it could be it's close.
That's like it has to be in some way.
Yeah, I do like that he strangles that guy outside though, who goes, so who are you going to kill off in your next one? And he's like, what? And he's like, you killed your friend Esteban. So who's the next one? He just goes over and strangles the cop.
It's such a strange movie.
Yeah, but it looks like, he gets pulled away by security. And then you're like, oh, the other guy probably got pulled away. No, all the boys in the red hats have jumped over and they're beat the shit out of this guy. And that's just happening like in the background. No one's really paying attention to it. And you're just like, wow, they just beat the shit out of that guy.
It's gas. Like they have matching pajamas and red hats and everything.
Yeah. The thing is, if you need to watch this more than once to catch certain things, but when you catch them, you're like, wow, it's so well done, because loads of stuff happens in the background where you have to be looking in the background rather than what's happening directly in front of you. Yeah. This is when we do meet Owen Wilson here as Ned, who might be his son. It's not confirmed, just maybe.
It's so random, the things that happen. Like I was just saying, in the background, like you see him feeding his pet killer whale.
Yeah, but like when he meets Ned, and Ned's like, "I might be your son," and he's like, "Yeah, that could be true." And no question, like just not who's your mother, nothing. Just I'm from here, and I could be your son. Yeah, all right. So it just tells you that, like back when
his way around. That's
the thing. It kind of tells you that back when he was at the top of his field, that obviously he was, a bit of a playboy, and he you kind of see that in him throughout the rest of the film as well.
Yeah, the eccentricness does it for him, doesn't it?
Yeah. But you also see that he's not entirely confident in himself anymore. That he seems a bit, he's depressed, and he's not.
He's hell bent on doing what he wants to do.
Yeah, but you can see why his last few documentaries haven't hit off, because he clearly thought a lot of himself and kind of forgot how to make a good documentary. He just became too obsessed with himself.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of become depressed because people are always bad mouthing him. And he's just like, oh, no one trusts me to do a good job anymore.
He's not the man anymore.
Yeah, and like Hennessy has kind of surpassed him now, and he's, I do like that
he's steamrolling.
I do like that from the very start, like, that Hennessy, the person he's with now, Eleanor, is like his wife now, and she used to be married to Hennessy, but he's always like, yeah, I'm pretty convinced that Hennessy guy is gay, like from the very outset, and you're like, it's just jealousy. And then, with your bed a little bit, but at the end, Hennessy's like, no wonder our marriages didn't work out, He's like, but like, I have an excuse because I'm part gay. And he's like, I knew it.
There's such subtle throw forwards in this movie.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very good. And then he invites Ned to join his team, and Ned just gives up his job as a pilot. He's just like, yeah, I'll come join Team Zissou.
I love how he's convincing them when they're filming the bioelectric jellyfish.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, we want you to be part of Team Zissou. And he's like, well, I'm not a strong swimmer or anything that I need to be. I'm not even good with a boom.
Yeah.
But I'll do it anyway.
Yeah. I'll join. And that's when we get to meet Jane, who's the reporter. And he's like, who the hell are you? And why are you pregnant? She's like, I'm the reporter. No one picked me up at the effing airport. And he's like, Klaus, you were meant to pick her up. And that this was not Klaus's job. He just forgot to set anyone to do it. He's like, really sorry about that.
I love that though, because just before that scene, before they go to bed and get woken up, like
he gets reminded.
Yeah, don't forget, reporters online too. Yeah. Grant.
And that's the thing.
How'd you get over here? I got paid a drunken sailor.
That must have taken like 4 hours. Yeah. Why did you do that? Well, no one picked me up at the effing airport.
Poor Klaus just accepts it.
Yeah, but I like that she corrects him. She's like, they are not electric jellyfish. And he's like, puts his foot over it, and he's like, oh, she's right. We'll need to reshoot that bit.
Yeah, he just gets on with it.
No bother to him. But she starts the interview with him and starts with some kind of tough questions. And he's just like,
she starts out with a doozy, doesn't she?
Yeah, and he's just like, could you not just ask me some easier questions? Like, what's my favorite color? Blue.
I love how here, as you said earlier, in the background, you see the killer whale. It's supposed to be in a window.
Yeah, it's just outside, like. Yeah. But it was meant to be in this big tank.
Yeah,
because they're not on the boat now. They're like at his estate, like.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be that like the window is into the tank, and he's just there, and he's just dancing around in the background. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, there's so many little bits like that, and she kind of tells him, the first part of your documentary looked fake. And this is a bit where he's a bit crazy because he pulls a gun out and he's like, does this look fake? And you're like, no, it's a gun. What the fuck is wrong with this dude?
Everybody has it. Everyone has one and it's attached to the leg.
Yeah, you run along with it attached. You're like, he pulls out and he's like, does this look fake? And she's like, no. And then she has to call him out. She's like, I'm the only person who wanted to do this report. And it's because I was a big fan of you when I grew up. Like, everyone else basically thinks you're fucking shit. And he's like, oh, well, I think you're projecting. She just starts crying. You're like, oh, that was a bit random. Yeah, and he's just like, sorry, didn't mean to make you cry. Just keeps it off, he goes. And then he meets up with Steve, and he's like, Steve says to him, when did you find out about me? He's like, oh, about five months ago or something. And why didn't you ever write? And he's like, oh, I never wanted kids.
Wow. I hate fathers, never wanted to be one. He just leaves.
Yeah. You're just like, wow. Like, I know the guy's 30, but Jesus Christ, man. You could have just been like, oh, I just thought it was a bit you could have just been like, I thought it'd be awkward to contact you after 30 years. Not, oh no, I didn't. I never wanted a kid.
Yeah. At least he's honest.
Well, that's the one thing you can say about him. He is very, very honest. But we find out he's not going to get the money for his project. And then Ned comes in and he goes, well, I just inherited 275,000. Good amount to
do it.
Yeah, and especially since we learned that his mum was suffering from like 3 different types of cancer at the time as well.
So she was loaded.
She must have been loaded, yeah.
Yeah, because in America that's crazy.
even over here, it's pricey, like to
Yeah.
like that many chemotherapies and stuff. But he invests all of that in, and there's only three stipulations that the bank make. One, they all have to take a piss test.
I love that. You gotta do a drug test before you get on ship. What, a piss test?
Yeah.
Sure.
Then Bill here is going to join you. Oh god, that's non-negotiable. You have to let him come. Oh, fine. And then number three, you can't kill the shark or whatever it is. And he goes, okay, I won't kill it, but I still want to fight it, but I won't kill it. And you're
I'll
like, what the
fight
hell
it.
do you mean fight it? It's a fucking shark.
Yeah, it's gas. He's that hellbent. It's like his career suicide for him.
Yeah, well, it's like literal suicide. Imagine swimming up trying to fight a shark in the water.
No, that's what I mean. It's like this is the final thing of his depression, guilt, whatever it is, all mixed into one.
He's completely insane. But you know, they decide, right, we better start training Ned because he said he couldn't swim. They put him into the swimming pool thing.
The very first time I watched this, even when I watched it there tonight, I was looking at going, are they putting him in the killer whale tank?
Yeah, they do. And they put him in, and then he basically just drowns. And to get him back out. And then Eleanor's like, did his heart stop? Yeah, but we got it back going pretty quick. And she's like, I think I'm just going to leave. What? You can't leave? No, I think I'm going to leave. This does not sound like a good plan at all. That kid nearly drowned that kid nearly drowned in a swimming pool. You know, this 30-year-old guy nearly drowned in a swimming pool. Like
he did drown.
Yeah, but you know, it's not like they were out at sea and no one could get him back above. One, he should have been, you know, if he can't swim, that's fair enough. But they were all around him, and none of them managed to get him out of that water before he technically died.
Yeah, it's gas.
Like, what's wrong with you guys? And she's just like, yeah, I am out. Like, I'm done. I'm off.
Don't say goodbye. Why, it's too sad. Say bon voyage.
Yeah. So and I love she turns back around and says a bon voyage, and he's like, yeah, now we're talking.
And it just goes.
Yeah, it goes back to them being on the boat, and he keeps trying to flirt with Jane, the reporter, and she's clearly not interested. Like, you know, he's obviously a bit too old for her, and he just doesn't get that at all. He's like, oh, this is a bit weird. Why doesn't she want to sleep with me, even though I'm like 30 years older than her, and she's pregnant, and he keeps saying that she's a lesbian, like
a bull dyke.
Yeah, like Jesus. I love that. They can get pregnant. What? How are you saying that she got pregnant if she's lesbian? And I know lesbians can get pregnant, but like he keeps trying it on with her as well, so he clearly doesn't believe it. He just keeps telling it to everyone.
I think she's got a bit of a thing for me.
Yeah, he's a weird guy. But they from here they're like, we'll break into Hennessy's lab and we'll steal all his expensive equipment.
I love this. We're gonna go. What happened? We haven't got the tracker, so we're gonna go to this underwater layer. Grand, yeah. You think, oh, that's fine. It's obviously something that people can use. You get there and the door's locked, and they're like, oh, because we're not supposed to be here. We're trespassing.
Yeah, and then your man Bill is like, your man Bill, I'm gonna have to report this. Listen, you do what you have to do, right? But we're allowed to use this stuff. And then he opens the door and it's like, warning, we have called the Coast Guard. Somebody cut that off.
You know whose voice it is straight away.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. What would you know? They wired the place.
Yeah. go get me the cable cutters. And they just cut that, and in they go, and they just start stealing everything. And he steals the espresso machine, and you're like, okay, I can get why you would steal, really good equipment because you're going hunting this thing, and obviously you don't have it. You do not need to steal that espresso machine. Did
you get the little joke in this where he's talking about the coffee machine? So this thing make cappuccinos. Yeah, and he goes up and he hands it to the intern. Use this. Go make me a latte.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
he fully expects something to come from the cappuccino bit. Latte.
Yeah, no, it's so good. Like he just steals it because it belongs to Hennessy. That's it.
Or was it Klaus when he's standing there? Hey, Steve, one of the interns fell down with the tracker.
Yeah. Oh, go get this.
The other one.
Then there is a bit here that just before they took off that Klaus goes over and he slaps Ned in the face and he's like, "It's not the Ned show, it's the Zissou show, Steve Zissou."
Yeah.
And he's like, "If you ever do that again, I'm gonna kick your teeth down your throat." And he goes, "Not if I see you first." And then he goes to walk off, And then he realizes, oh shit, I have my back to him. So he turns around and just looks at him as he's walking down the pier. And again, it's just that it's those little small jokes that you're like, oh yeah. And it's not even like, not if I kill you first or not if I hit you first. He's just, not if I see you first. What do you mean if I see you first? Of course you're going to see him. You're working on the same fucking boat. Of course you're going to see him.
It's gas. And then it actually gets paid forward as well.
That's what I was going to say. Then it gets paid forward a little bit later on here.
He hits him by the slap.
Yeah, Ned comes up and hits him and he goes, what was that for? And he's like, I owed you one. No, you told me you were going to kick my teeth down my throat. And he was like, yeah, but that was a threat. No, I didn't. I still owed you one. He's like, no, the threat was the one that you owed me. Now I owe you one. No. Now we're even. And then he says something about, he's just because he's your dad. What do you mean? Nothing. And he just runs off crying. It's so good.
Willem Dafoe is just
he's brilliant. He's brilliant in it, yeah. But they steal all the stuff, and then the other girl on the boat, Anne Marie, is like, you know this route that you've planned? And he's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, it's into unsafe waters, do you know? And he's like, the way you want to go is 4 centimeters on the map. The way I want to go is 0.5 centimeter. And you're like, okay, that is not how you should be talking about the distance, like the little distance on the map. You need to be talking about it in real distance. And he's like, are you going to pay for the rest of the fuel? And she's like, I just don't think this is a good idea. Like, Elmer said not to do it. And he's like, yeah, well, we're doing it.
Yeah, they had her with no top on for like the first half of this movie.
For no reason.
Yeah. She was there sunbathing in the shade behind the rocks.
And then when they're running on the beach, they're all like, all the lads are topless, and so is she.
Yeah, it's gas.
There's no reason for her. And they never explained that. They're just like, yeah, all right.
She's one of the crew.
Yeah. But like they decide they're going to go into these not uncharted waters, but unregulated sort of waters. Like there's no protection or anything there.
Yeah.
Unprotected waters, that's what it is, yeah. And then they're like,
it's basically international waters.
Yeah, they're like, there's the shark we're tracking. And then they're like, what's this other pinging dot? And he's like, oh, stop asking questions in front of the reporter when the camera's on. Like, if you have a question, whisper it to me so I can ask it and not look stupid.
Yeah, it's all his ego.
It is. But I love that, they go down under and they're like, they see the plane wreck.
Yeah.
And instead, like, they don't even retrieve the black box from it to find out what happened. They just leave that there as well. That's of no interest to them.
They don't care. That's not what they're looking for.
But I love that, Steve is like, can I call you Dad? And he's like, no, but I like the idea. You can come up with a nickname, though. What do you mean? Like something that's not Dad? Yeah, like Stevesy.
Stevesy. I always wanted to call you Stevesy.
Yeah. And, like they go in, they check out the wrecked plane, and they come back up. And that's just some camera footage shot. Adds nothing.
Yeah, it's like, even I think it's just to show like the fish and all that are around and how fake they are.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it adds absolutely nothing other than that.
Oh no, it gives you Stevesy.
Yeah, that's it. Like that's the whole point of this, is him calling him Stevesy. But we see Ned and Jane kind of flirting away a bit here, and he's meant to be on watch.
Yeah,
and
he's too busy trying to get his rocks off. I love this though, where the other crew or the black fella is there sitting there and he's playing
Pele.
Yeah, Pele. Yeah, he's playing
David Bowie songs
to Major Tom. Yeah,
the whole film he's playing David Bowie songs, but in Portuguese.
Yeah, and you just see the ladder arrive up.
Yeah, but you see the boys in the back and they have the gun pointed at him. He doesn't turn around, and then they put the ladder up. He still doesn't react. And, Steve can hear all this noise and commotion downstairs. He's in the sauna.
I love how the boat has a sauna made by someone that was on the Chinese nuclear team, or Chinese astro team.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But he hears all this, and then Klaus kind of knocks on the window. And he's like, can you come out here? And he clears the window, and he sees the pirates holding the guns to all the lads' head. And he's like, all right. So then he goes to Jane's room.
Yeah.
And
is Ned in there?
Is Ned in there? And then you hear all the shouting outside, and Ned looks out and he's like, yes, oh my God, are they hijackers? Well, we tend to call them pirates, you see. And yes, they got onto the boat when it was your watch.
Oh, shit.
He's like, oh, shit, yeah, sorry, my bad. And they all get tied up and everything. I love this because Bill can obviously translate because he speaks their language. So they decide... They
We're
decide,
taking
like,
him.
they ask him, tell us where the safe is. And he's like, oh, we don't have a safe. We don't have a safe. And then it shows them all watching one of his old documentaries where he talks
I love
about
how
the safe.
they all work in the kitchen and all.
Yeah. And they're just like, it says he has a doc. Here, right here, it says he has a safe. There it is over there. We'll just take that. And he's like, oh, there goes Steve's inheritance. Or there goes Ned's inheritance.
Yeah. And he's just happy go lucky, and he was like, "Oh, now they're gonna take me."
Yeah. Well, they were taking
They were
Ned.
taking Ned.
Yeah. But this is what I love, because this is when we get to see why he was, such a badass filmmaker back in the day, because he gets like this flashback clip. He like gnaws the ropes off his arm and he kills a load of them. You're just like, what a fucking badass.
He doesn't actually kill. He only kills one.
I think he kills one, yeah, but he fires shots at loads of the other ones.
And they all run off. He shoots your man in the neck, but when he falls, he hits the intern with a machete in the shoulder.
Yeah, it's so good. Like,
and the grenade goes off and everything.
Yeah, and they leave their dog behind. Cody.
The three-legged dog.
You left your dog behind, you idiots. I don't think they're too concerned about their dog, to be honest. They just stole all your money, mate.
That they can't get into.
Yeah. Well, they managed to get into it, but
yeah.
After he frees them all, I think like he does a good job. Like he does manage to free them. And
I love how at the end when he runs out of bullets, he just fucks the gun at them.
Just throws the gun at them, yeah. But Hennessy shows up and he's like, "Okay, I got your distress call," and he's like, "Stop shooting, stop filming him, cut that out."
And he's like, Hennessy, "This is the bill for rescuing you."
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna have to clear that with my financial advisor. Wasn't he kidnapped? Yes, so we need to rescue him and then I'll sign." No, you need to sign it first or I'm going to leave you here. Like, all right, fine. I'll sign it. And then there's a mutiny. Well, like a small mutiny, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what chapter 14 is called, mutiny on board.
Yeah, and it's your one.
Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie is like, listen, it's his fault he did this to us. I told him not to do it. And then he calls a meeting up on the top of the ship. And he's like, anyone who doesn't want to stay with me, step forward across the line towards me. So, obviously everyone misunderstands. And Klaus steps forward and he's like, you want to leave? He's like, what? No, I misunderstood. Start again.
Good luck.
He walks back into the line. And he's like, no, I'll stay here this time. And then Anne-Marie and all the interns decide they're leaving. And the interns are like, do we pass? And he was like, no, these won't fail. But I'll just say you didn't do your, incomplete. What a dick. I mean, yeah, okay, they are kind of screwing him over. But I mean, he did bring them into uncharted water or into
unprotected
the
waters.
Unprotected waters, and they nearly got them all killed. Like, you could probably give them a C or something, I'm not saying they have to get an A, but you could probably give them a C.
Well, he did save them, to be fair.
Yeah, but like if they died, then they wouldn't have cared what grade they got, So just give them a nice happy medium. And he was like, no, he's just getting incomplete. Fuck you. He's just such a dick about it to them.
Well, I mean, they are jumping ship, quite literally.
Yeah, but Jane says she's going to leave as well. And, Ned gives her a load of... She's like, just give me your address and I'll write you. He's like, I wrote you 300 letters or 300 blank envelopes with my address on it. And he's like, and there's also blank pages in there for you to write to me on. And you're just like, dude, you spent a lot of time writing those letters. Fucking hell, man.
300, Jesus. I remember doing my wedding invites and they took for fucking ever.
Yeah, well, I mean, and she didn't ask him to do that. She was like, just give me your address and I will write you letters. And he was like, I've already done all that.
He knew what the fuck was up.
What a fucking, it looks like everyone's going to leave. And then he's like, right, I need to go visit Eleanor. So he goes visits her and he's like, could you ask your parents to give me money? She's like, no. And he's like, listen, I don't like saying sorry, so let's just skip by that. And she's like, yeah, okay. And he's like, sorry for what I did. You're like, wait, you just said you were going to skip that bit. Hang on now a minute.
It's just mental.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, I know you always wanted kids, but you were a bit old to have kids, really, weren't you? And she's like, I was 30. He's like, oh, well, too late now anyway.
I mean,
and she just accepts all these things he says as if, no bother.
He's enigmatic, Ted.
Yeah.
Enigmatic.
And then it looks like they're not going to get the money, but they get the phone call from Bill. And instead of telling them anything about where he is, he just starts waffling on about this nice young boy who helped him make the phone call and then has to hang up.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Yeah. And then beep, 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 beep.
I love Bill Murray. Like he even calls him out. Steve's like, "That's great, Bill. Thanks for not telling us anything about where you are." And this is where we see that now she is the like Eleanor is the brains because she's like based on how long it took from like when he was taken to when he made the call and the sounds of the wildlife behind him. He's on these islands, and I love that everyone keeps pointing at the map, but keeps pointing at the wrong place on the map, and she keeps correcting them. She's like, "No, it's here," and then someone else will point to the wrong one again. She's like, "No, it's still up here." Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, Helen Mirren's brilliant in this.
Yeah, she's absolutely brilliant. But then Ned called like Steve catches Ned and Jane sleeping together, and he's like, "I can't believe you lied to me." And they go walking through the boat, him and Ned.
Literally.
They're walking through the boat, but I love this because there's different people, but I'm pretty sure he walks by the same people like 2 or 3 times, just on different parts of the boat.
It's gas. It's the Scooby Doo thing, isn't it?
Yeah, they just keep going up and up and up, and then eventually Steve's like, "My mom told me on her deathbed that you always knew that you were my dad, true or false?" And he's like, "Yeah, I did know." And you're like, "Wait."
Another dick move.
You're like, "Wait, I thought he's." At the start, we were like, he never knew. Then he knew for 5 months, and now he's known since the very start.
Yeah, it just literally goes every time it goes a little bit longer. He's just more and more accepting of the fact.
Yeah, that he clearly just didn't want to be a dad. But then we get like a bit of a twist here because then we see Jane sitting downstairs having an old grilled cheese with Eleanor, and Eleanor's like, "Let me tell you something, and this is off the record, and nobody else could tell you this, not even Steve, because he doesn't know. Only I know, because I'm a scientist. So don't ask how I know." But Steve shoots blanks, so Ned's not his son.
Oh, shots fired! Literally.
Yeah, but then they never come back to that again. You know, they just accept that, okay, that's not his son, but nothing ever comes of that. You know, no one ever tells him nothing. They just kind of go, "Yeah, all right, fair enough."
Yeah, I wonder how she knows.
Well, she's a scientist, Greg. You can't ask why she knows.
It's true.
That's what she says.
Which means she got him.
Yeah, she checked.
Tested.
Yeah, she went and got checked. But they go off to this island, and I love this. They go to the island, and they're all in their their wetsuits and stuff, and they all have different hats and hoods and stuff. And then Pele has the big, massive hat. You're like, why does he have such a gangster-looking hat? What is going on here?
This is where they went on their honeymoon.
Him and the first wife went on the honeymoon. Yeah. And then he makes the two teams. You know, I'm going to be with me, Ned, and him. And then Klaus, you on this. And Klaus is like, "Why do I always have to be on the other team?" And he's like, "Well, you're the leader of the B team, Klaus." And he's like, "I always have to be on the other team." And he's like, "That's because me and Esteban always viewed you as kind of our son." And he's like, I always viewed you two as my dads." And he's like, "And one more thing, Steve, can you make sure the rest of the guys don't make fun of me for that?" And he's like, "Well, I can't promise that, but I'll try."
Klaus's gas.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just so good. And they get in and they rescue. You know, they find Bill, and then they're about to leave, and they see all of Hennessy's men's hats on the little graves, and then they're like, "Oh, we actually found something in here." So Bill goes back in, or it's like Bill Murray's character Steve goes back in, and then Ned and Klaus run in with the dynamite and blow up the entire place.
The hotel, yeah.
So good. And they're firing shots at each other, and they eventually get back to the boat, and he blows up the little dinghy. He's like, "Take their keys and throw it in the ocean." "Oh wait, they might have spares. Just blow the blow up."
You're just waiting and waiting. The amount that they put in that they weren't allowed to use the dynamite, that they had to use it somewhere.
Yeah. But they get back to the boat, and I love this because Hennessy is like, "Wait, is this my espresso machine?" And Bill, who was obviously the banks guy and was like really against them robbing, he's like, "Yeah, we fucking robbed it, man." It's like, this lad's a fucking legend.
He's just changed completely.
But even from the start, and he's like, "You're a bank stooge," and he was like, "I'm also a human being," and he's like, "Okay, I'm sorry, that was mean."
I didn't mean that.
So fucking funny. But they get everyone off the boat, and then Ned is or Steve is kind of like, I'm done. I'm not like, we're not going chasing the shark. Let's just go home. I'm done. And Ned is like, no. Come on, we'll chase the shark. We can use the helicopter. We'll be able to see it from 111 feet up above the water.
Pretty precise, isn't it?
Yeah, well, first of all, why do you think you can see the shark that's meant to be underwater from 111 feet above the water? But whatever. But this is the bit I was saying to you, where you see stuff in the background that I really love, because Ned is like, come on, put your hand in, and he puts his hand in, and Steve doesn't. Then he puts it in again, and Steve puts his hand in and puts it on top of him. But if you look in the background, Klaus puts his hand in as well. And when they do the way, Klaus is behind them just in the background and goes, way.
It's gas.
Like, there's no reason, like, because unless you're looking out for something like that, you'd never notice it. It's so good. Like,
there's so many subtle little things he done in this.
Yeah, I'd say I could watch it another 5 or 6 times and I'd see something different in the background each time.
Are you going to? Probably not.
Not anytime soon. I'll probably watch it again in the future because it is enjoyable.
Had you seen this beforehand?
I hadn't seen it beforehand, no. So it's the sort of film that you can sit down and watch, but you don't need to pay attention to. But not
because throw it on the background.
Yeah, like the other way, sometimes you'd watch a film and you're like, I'm not enjoying this, and you might end up picking up the phone or playing a game or whatever. This is the sort of film where you can do that because you're not really missing anything, because the plot line is so erratic anyway that nothing's happening that you're missing too much. But they go out in the helicopter and they crash into the sea, and I don't know why, but Steve is fine. Ned is not fine. Ned is dead.
Ned's dead, baby.
Yeah. And then they just bury him at sea. But I love they bury him at sea, right? And you're thinking, oh, it's just the guys that are there. No, the lads he worked for in the Air Force have all joined the boat as well. And they're like, instead of bringing him back and burying him, we'll just we'll let these guys he's known for 9 weeks or something. Like, I think it's like day 29 that they're going hunting for the shark. So that's after he's died. So you're like less than a month that he's known these guys. Yeah, they said they want to bury him at sea, so we'll just let that happen. Even though we've been friends with him for like presumably the last 10 years.
Committed to the cause.
Yeah, I would just let him. Yeah, I would just do that. And they're like, right, let's go hunt the shark. And that's when we get this scene where they're all in this little dinghy thing, this little weird submarine. Yeah, and they go down, and he's what does he say? I've got a diamond back swordfish to attract the shark, and it's just dangling off the back of their little boat thing.
Yeah, it's like he's fishing, live fishing.
And they see the shark, and the shark's massive, like.
And it's bioluminescent too.
Yeah, and I love this. It comes over and it eats the fish off the back of the boat, and they're like, "Are we safe in here?" And Steve's just like, "I don't know." And they're like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know, maybe." And then he's like, the way the film ends is brilliant as well, because they're still sitting in there, and he's like, "Are we going to blow it up?" And he was like, "No, we used all the dynamite." I mean, okay, that's the only reason you're not blowing it up. But then he says to them, he's like, "I wonder if the shark remembers me." And they all put their hand forward onto his shoulder to be like, "Yeah, don't worry, you're right. Maybe it does." Why the fuck would this shark remember you?
They should have had the shark wink at him or something.
Yeah, that would have been good. But then it goes off, and
the end of the play happens.
Yeah, you see that. Well, no, because that's not really the end of the play, because originally when the first part of the play is shown, Ned is one of the people that asks a question. So like he shows part 1 to everyone, then goes off and films all the rest of it, and then comes back and shows them the rest of it. But you see him sitting outside on the steps, and he has his award there. So he's obviously got back to the top of his game. But he said, "This is it. He's done. No more. Not making any more documentaries." And then like it just ends from there. Nothing else comes from it. Like you don't hear anything else about him. He's just like, yeah.
You just see him walking with the kid, and that's it.
Yeah, and then we see Pele singing more
David
Bowie in Portuguese, and then that's it. Yeah, it's as I
random.
Said. Yeah, as I said, it's a very enjoyable film, but it's not one that you'd be like rushing to.
I'm gonna throw that on again.
Yeah, it's not something I'd be rushing to tell anybody you need to see this. If they're like, I need something to just watch that's just easy to watch and I don't really need to pay attention to. This is the sort of one you could put on for that.
What happens? I'm looking for a Bill Murray movie to finish Murray March. What do you do? Secret Life of Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Yeah, and I mean, even if like no matter how much attention you pay to this, you're still going to be lost by the storyline because it's all over the place.
It's
no matter
impossible
what.
to follow. Impossible.
Yeah, it's just
Well,
it's
like
just,
nothing ever happens with the killer whale, pet killer whale.
no, nothing happens with that. Nothing happens with the fact that it's not his son. Nothing happens
that Ned is dead.
Yeah, nothing happens with the bank that they were all meant to go on this piss test or anything. Like, nothing ever happens. Just like, yeah, all right. And even his agent is like, yeah, I'm on the run because I haven't got my passport renewed and I've just been working here illegally. Nothing really happens with that at all either. It's just the whole thing is just that's the end of it.
It's mental.
Yeah, no, it's an enjoyable film, but not something I'd be like, you need to watch it either. But if you had nothing else to watch and you were like, I just want something easy, this is the one to watch. Like, it is.
Yeah, it's gas. Well,
yeah, no.
It's funny. It's so badly done. It's funny, but it's intently done that way.
Yeah, it's done that way, and that's, as I said, it's not particularly as a comedy. Like you watch a lot of other comedies, and the whole story is kind of a comedy, whereas this isn't. This is kind of just a bit all over the place, but the people in it are particularly funny. The way they deliver their lines and everything they do is just funny.
Then again, a lot of Bill Murray's movies that everyone realizes are comedies, when you go back and watch them now, they're not comedies.
No, it's just he's particularly funny.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. But like when we touched on, or when we went back and done Groundhog Day,
yeah,
like everyone talks about that being a very, very good top of the range comedy. It's not a comedy in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's funny because the people in it are funny.
Yeah, that's it. Like I think a lot of Bill Murray's movies were cast that way, that he has such good ad lib that the people around him bounced off him with him.
I think a lot of films that Bill Murray is like the star of, or like close to being the star of, if he's not in them, the films don't succeed the way they did. Yeah, like Ghostbusters probably would, because that's an actual story being told as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of his other films without him, like it's
Groundhog Day doesn't work.
Yeah.
Caddyshack would work because he's not a main focal part.
Yeah, but like definitely his more recent ones, like The Dead Don't Die, like in The Dead Don't Die, he's Bill Murray. Like the film would still succeed, but you wouldn't be able to have that character because his character is Bill Murray.
Yeah, it's Bill Murray playing a cop.
Yeah, it's just Bill Murray being Bill Murray, and he happens to be a cop. That's it. I enjoyed this film, so I am glad that you suggested that this is the one we do, because I did enjoy it.
So that's two movies that I picked since joining the show last year.
That
probably around this time last year I joined the show.
Yeah, something like that. And I hadn't seen them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two very good ones. Yeah. So you're keep that up, Greg, and I'll continue to enjoy myself watching these films. But
it's good to get the film count up. By the way,
yeah.
At Carl Sherlock, I am going to smash your record from last year.
It does seem like that, yeah.
Absolutely smashing.
We won't tell anybody what you're on yet, but he's well on his way to beating Carl's number of films watched last year, which we will obviously do at the end of the year again. We were all doing it.
Take that, loser.
But that's it for this week, and until next week, good luck.